What's up, everybody? Donegan McCuaig here, broker, realestateLA.com. This is my second video of what was intended to be a more regular series of videos, but I just don't like seeing myself on camera. But for lack of a better person, here I am, and today I wanted to talk to you about commercial real estate and how to qualify when you're applying to lease a commercial space. So first of all, obviously you got the application. Typically, most landlords have their own application, or the brokerage does. Obviously, you need to fill that out. Obviously, you need identification, driver's license, passport that's not expired, of course. Most landlords want to see your last three most recent business bank statements. So if you don't have a business bank set up for your business already, and this is not business advice or financial advice, but it's indicative to what extent you are established as a business owner if you do not have a business bank account. So that tells me that you're operating at a less sophisticated than, I don't want to say than average, but and it's not that it's not fine to, have both your business and personal expenses in one account, but it's a lot more professional and proper to have a business bank account and to completely separate your personal expenses with your business expenses. So there's that. A lot of landlords also want to see your last three most recent personal bank statements as well. Generally, the whole purpose of the process is to make sure that you're financially qualified and likely to succeed in the space. So every landlord is different, and so things will vary based on each property that you apply to, but yeah, application, ID, business bank statements, last three most recent, personal bank statements, last three most recent. And in addition to that, they're gonna wanna run your personal credit. So generally landlords wanna see at least a 670 plus credit score with no evictions or bankruptcies. For me, I encourage landlords to look lightly upon student loans and medical expense bills, but it looks really bad if you have a credit report and you have like a $100 bill from like Spectrum Internet or something, and you're saying that you make like $5,000 a month, and it's why the heck haven't you paid that off? Like, why don't you know about it? So that speaks to your level of sophistication as well. Obviously, people can run into hard times and have issues with, their finances and whatnot. But generally speaking, seeing, such small numbers on there is just kind of like, really? And obviously, if you pay that off, it'll improve your credit score as well. But, any collections or late payments are not going to look good. So landlords do look at that, the number of late payments, and whether you have any accounts in collections, or whether the account was closed by the creditor. That doesn't look good either. So that's the personal credit. And then the business credit is something you can do as well if you're a more established company. You've had to have had a business bank account for some time and have established credit with that bank for some time. And that score ranges from let's see here. I rarely do that because most of my clients are small businesses, very small businesses, but let's see. The scores range from 0 to 100, and 94 to 69 is low to moderate risk, and 100 to 95 is low risk. So there's that, and depending on who the landlord is and the property management, what score you need to have for that is going to be contingent upon their requirements, basically. So the other thing I want to say as well is, is the space actually going to work for your purposes? So, obviously if you're looking to open, say for instance, let's just call it a mini mart, and there's already 3 mini marts at the location, that's not going to be a good thing. Like too much competition is not a good thing. But for some industries, being the same type of business is good to be next to each other. Like for instance, in the fashion district, a lot of the same types of clothing brands are in the same area. And a lot of times you'll see like a McDonald's on one side of the street and a Burger King on the other side of the street. So it can be good, but generally the tenant mix is something very important in retail. You want to have a symbiotic sort of environment, ecosystem, if you will. So the group of tenants are going to, assist one another and bring traffic and bring visibility to the other businesses in the retail location as well. Office space, obviously a whole other thing, but typically the leasing agent will go over with you the use that you have in mind for the space. So, most landlords, when it comes to commercial real estate, they really want standard retail use and standard office use. And both of those, economically speaking and macroeconomically speaking as well, have, had a significant shift because, e-commerce is so big now. And, a lot of the retail establishments have gone out of business because people go online instead. There's that factor, of course. And then with office, working from home has had a dramatic shift as well. So the office market is, probably the worst one in history right now, but I'm doing pretty good because I specialize in creative space and I only, represent listings that I can price that I think are listed aggressively and that'll rent relatively soon, based on the market conditions and my experience in the market. I've been doing this I've been in real estate since like 2006, and that's a long time. So almost, what is that, 18 years? I can't do simple math. 2006, yeah. But anyway, I've been doing it forever. Been in downtown LA forever and in LA since like 2008, 2009. So, I pretty much know what's a good rate and what'll likely get the space leased that's competitive for both the landlord and the tenant. But I digress there. So back to the topic at hand, how to qualify for a commercial lease. So yeah, the type of use is extremely important. Landlords just don't want any liability. That's why they like standard retail and standard office use, because those are pretty basic. And a big thing these days is event spaces. I actually did a video on that if you guys want to check it out on the channel here on YouTube. Depending on what the type of use that you have in mind, the city of Los Angeles, likely has a permit process for it if it's not standard retail or office use. So that can be, quite burdensome, and cause huge delays and, from the day you sign the lease to the day you can open. So, that's one thing as well. So the landlord, when he's qualifying you, he's going to want to see, okay, what type of business is it? What's that industry like right now? If you say you're going to be selling, like, what's something that's, now obsolete? If you're going to be selling something that, like, obviously, like, nobody wants, or the industry is just in the dirt, or there's no, foreseeable positive trajectory for that industry, or there's already a lot of competition, there's a basic general, issue with that industry-wide, and how is that industry going, for instance. And then, is the space practical for what their purpose actually is? And, when you put in an offer on the space, a lot of landlords are going to say, well, your permit process is going to take a year for this, and I don't want to give you a year free. So, that might kill the deal one way or another, or perhaps you can negotiate and do 6 months free or 3 months free. Some landlords don't want to give any free rent. In fact, they'd rather just lease it to standard retail or standard office and give no free rent at all, because none would be needed, So anytime you get into a space, you need to, if the previous use wasn't your intended use, technically you need to do a change of use. So with that comes another series of, I don't want to say complications, but I guess that's pretty much, it becomes more complicated. So, if you change the use of a space, sometimes the city of Los Angeles might require you to upgrade the space to current building code and building standards. So, anything that's currently grandfathered in with the property, for instance, it was a warehouse before, they didn't need fire sprinklers before, or they weren't required to have them, or the space wasn't required to be ADA compliant, American Disabilities Act. So if the city wants, when you do a change of use, they can require all that to be upgraded, which obviously would be a huge expense. And typically the landlord is not going to want to pay for that. I've had this recently, actually. I have a warehouse space, and I got a couple, I had two churches inquire about it, and a jiu-jitsu business, and that would require a change of use. It's not warehouse related at all, so that could potentially require all these upgrades that could cost a fortune, right? So the landlord's probably just going to straight up turn down that and just wait to get somebody with office use. So that's something you have to keep in mind when you're looking for a space, is what is the current use permit for it, and to change that, if it's going to be different, what is that timeline going to look like? What else do we got? So we got application, ID, credit report, practical issues, like where's the business industry going? Is it a positive trajectory? Is there too much competition, too little? Or there's no such thing as too little competition. That would be great, right? But other things. So, if you're you have a new business, a lot of the clients that I work with, they're working from home right now, and their business has got off the ground, and they want to get a brick and mortar location, right? So the landlord, especially in this day and age, the landlord wants to verify that you're actually going to be using the space for what you say you're going to be using it for. And so if you're a fashion company, for instance, and you don't have a website, or you don't have any social media, that's going to be a red flag, right? Because, okay, if you're a business and you're making all this money, and you have no website, especially because websites you can get them for free, basically, online. It can be a red flag, especially if you don't even have a business bank account, and you don't have a corporation established, that kind of thing. So the landlord, in qualifying you, is looking for the items that are going to show, yes, this person is going to be doing what they say their intended use is there, and they're not going to be, opening up a meth lab, for instance, right? So there's that. Website, social media. Social media, you don't have to have a huge following, but, it looks better if you do. Like, a lot of landlords actually do look at, the size of the social media following. my application asks for, both the website and the any noteworthy social media accounts. So that's something to keep in mind as well when you're applying for the space. So, all of these are going to be collectively what the landlord's considering when he's considering you as an applicant for the property. Not only are you financially qualified, but are you going to do what you say you're going to be doing, and will you be successful there, and that sort of thing. So the other thing I'd like to add too is, when you're applying for and qualifying for a commercial space, when you are touring the property, not only is it a tour for you, but it's also a tour for whoever is showing you the property. Obviously you want to be professional, you want to be friendly, you want to be compliant, you are going into somebody else's property and you are there to follow their rules, not for you to, have the landlord comply to whatever you think are the rules, policy, and procedures that should be in place, right? It's somebody else's property and you're leasing it. You need to be compliant and agreeable with that. And, when you're touring a property, it's also an interview from the landlord or the property manager or the real estate agent that's showing it to you. So you show up late, for instance, that doesn't look good. You're a jerk or rude, or, you want to do everything your way instead of, all of those are like, things that a landlord or property manager or an agent will have in their mind, when they're considering your application, right? I've worked in property management, and guys, it is one of the hardest jobs out there. You're basically the complaint department of real estate. And so every property manager and every landlord knows however you are during the tour and setting up the tour is how you're going to be when you're a tenant. So if you're a pain in the ass on the tour and in the scheduling the tour and all that, you're definitely going to be a pain in the ass when you're a tenant. And that's the last thing that any property manager wants, and you can just get declined based on that basis. So, it seems pretty obvious, an obvious item that, one would think that, okay, well, yeah, obviously I want to be professional and polite and kind to the real estate person and, compliant with whatever they're asking from me. But you'd be surprised. So that's the other thing is some people get, they start to get offended sometimes during the process. It is a huge rookie move if you're doing a negotiation and you get angry and emotional, because that just shows that you're really unsophisticated in, business and inexperienced in negotiating. I mean, maybe the landlord was, or whoever was an asshole to you. It gives you no benefit to be an asshole to them, right? Nothing's gonna come of it from you. In fact, if the landlord is an asshole and you're super cool about it, that shows whoever's working with you that you're not gonna be a pain in the ass once you're a tenant, right? So, and sometimes the landlord will just say no, I don't accept your agreement. So a no is not necessarily final. A no can be a negotiation tactic. So, and if the landlord is asking for more documentation or proof of income or whatever, you want to happily provide that. And, don't take it as, oh, well, you don't think I'm good enough to be in your space? What do you want? Some people take it personal, and that's not something that you should take personally at all. Either in the negotiation or in the application process. So, you can actually, shoot yourself in the foot by doing that, and really screw yourself over, basically. I've had people that have gotten mad in a negotiation because the landlord did whatever, and because they blew up and acted unprofessionally, like, they basically killed the deal. Like, and they kill it for me too, as an independent real estate agent, and I'm taking you to different properties, and you don't behave professionally, or you're not sophisticated with, the negotiation process, I can't continue to work with you because you blew up and, acted crazy or got mad, which isn't professional. So that is a big thing to consider, that a lot of people take for granted, especially, if you're, you come from modest means, and, you started the business from the ground up, nobody helped you, and, so that's something that you could learn the hard way, but hopefully by watching this video, you don't, because, yeah, you should never get emotional or upset, or, have the attitude, why do I need to give you this? If you were to say that, that would be sort of a red flag. The fact that the landlord wants to qualify you, wants to know your financial situation, wants to know your business is a good thing. You should happily provide whatever you're asked for, basically. And ask them if they want anything else, right? So, because you're there to show them that you're easy to work with, that you're not gonna be a problem when you're a tenant. And not only, are you financially qualified, not only do you, it's obvious that you have a legitimate business, that you can prove and document in multiple ways, but you're also easy to work with and professional. So that is something to consider as well. And I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I have yet to cover. Yeah, I mean, in terms of qualifying, that's basically it. I guess I can make another video about, making an offer and that sort of thing. But that's it for now, and I hope you found this useful. My name is Donegan McCuaig. I am the broker for realestatela.com, and hope you have an awesome day. Bye-bye.